viewers, my name is Michael and welcome back to Single Racer. And now in today's video I want to feature this weekend's Sunday Sub Showdown, but I want to treat it as an actual tutorial for a very specific reason. And that's because for those of you that are my long-term subscribers, you might have heard me talk about in the past that my brother comes over every second month and we have a sim racing day where we just pick a track and a car and just try and hot lap it to within an inch of its life and do our best time that we can. So when he came over this Saturday, I said to him, look, I've got to do this Sunday Sub Showdown on a track I've never been on. Would you mind if we do that track and the car combo? And he said, oh yeah, sure. Well, it doesn't worry me. So we gave it our best shot. And now mind you, my brother is no slouch. I mean, he got to the 5th highest position on RSR, holding the most records. And that's no mean feat. You've got to be a reasonably good driver. But what we did essentially was a brand new track. We both had never raced it before. And my brother's playing another VR game, so he hasn't done a lot of racing. But we basically got down to a 140. So we started, I think, 148, and just as we got to learn the track, we got it down to 140. And only at the very end of the day did we crack 139. And then I managed to pull out a 139.49, and he couldn't match that. But in fairness to him, he hadn't been doing a lot of racing lately. But what happened at the end of the day was he made a joke to me about the fact that if he could have had this Monday off, given naturally that he's working, he would have entered as well, and in his mind we would have finished first and second based on that 139 time, and the argument would be who would be first and who would be second. But in my brain I'm going, well, you just don't know the types of alien drivers that including Alex over at the Extra Mole who enter these Sunday Sub Showdowns, and I don't think I'll be first or second. But also on that point of the Sunday Sub Showdowns, because Alex over at the Extra Mole holds it at 3 o'clock his time. But what he usually does, or with the aid of his friend Tuna, they open the server up an hour early. Well, luckily this Sunday it was even half an hour earlier than that, so 1:30. And so we as a group, whoever joined the server, got about 3 or 4 full races in. So when I say races, I mean it's practice qualifying the race. So we got 3 versions of that in. And I must admit that I drove one of those so well, so I finished second in both those races, and I actually beat my personal best time. I got a 139.29. I couldn't believe it. And I finished second, but there's almost like this kind of foxing going on, I don't know, but the same drivers seem to just pull out whatever they need to when the official race is on, meaning the one that Alex actually records for himself, and just have a look at these times. Now mind you, I still pulled out a 139 for qualifying, so like that is so close to my personal best. But look how low I finished here. But this is exactly why I want to turn this from a standard Sunday Sub Showdown replay video to a tutorial for beginners or anyone that's kind of around the same level than I is. Well, if you look at my time in the qualifying, I don't drop. It's not like I dropped greatly back to 140. But it's like the others have the skill to raise themselves another level. So how do you handle that? What do you do when you're stuck mid-pack because you don't quite have that alien ability like some of the other fantastic drivers in this group? And so what I want to talk about is the approach between understanding 2 different levels of driving, meaning one where it's like Helicorsa, where you're right in the pack and have to deal with the pack, and how you position yourself to try and pass and just stay alive a lot of times within the group and not get knocked out. And then the other way is in regards to once you start to separate, to take that mindset away, and my advice being that you then treat it like you're just racing a ghost car and treating it like a hot lap. Now in the next video I want to re-go over about the ghost car and how that helped my brother and I in trying to work up for this our best time, or my best time to do in this race, but also how it also helps to take your mindset away from racing, because a common thing amongst the best alien drivers is they talk about this zone that you get into where you just follow the arse of the car in front. And what can tend to happen, and I'm talking real life too, is you're so focused on the car in front, its rear end, that often if it goes off, you go off with it, because you brake almost at the same point. You're almost copying or mirroring what it's doing instead of focusing on your own race, providing you've got enough distance between you two. I'm not talking about actual door-to-door racing, but once you separate a bit and start to then focus on your own race. And so now let's head over to this week's Sunday Sub Showdown, where I try and explain the two facets of the racing, the door-to-door helicorsa style racing, and then switching it over to hot lap racing, where the ghost car can really help you understand the track that you're racing on, rather than racing against AI for that specific reason. Okay folks, so just before we head off to the main VR race, I just want to show you this external camera replay of 3/4 of the first lap, because I have an older wheel where I don't have a clutch, so I tend to bog down a little bit at the starts. It's becoming a habit of mine, unfortunately, but also I just don't have the ability that the aliens do to do a really good start. So although I qualified in 6th spot, I think I fall back to about 9th or 10th. So it's what I want to show here is how I deal with the initial opening lap, where what happens is, because I fall in the pack, I treat it like a helicorsa in my head, meaning simply that it's not about doing a good lap, it's just about positioning yourself. I'm in the purple car here, and about positioning yourself in and around all this chaos that's going on, and how you can best just keep in the race. But as the race goes on and I fall back to 9th spot, I think, it's as the field separates, it's that advantage that racing against the ghost car gives me, where I know my hot lap lines. So suddenly I forget about what's going on around me and treat it just like a hot lap. So there I am in the back of the pack, and let's just see now, and let's go proper racing. Okay folks, so as we get ready for this race, please excuse the Rift microphone, but I just find it's easier to use than the stand mic, because I tend to move my head a lot in the races, and I don't want it to get louder and softer. I just want it to be an even sound, even if that's not too good. But let's get ready for the race. So the nerves are just incredible at this point, especially being mid-pack, and given the fact that I don't own a clutch, I tend to really bog down at the start. Now I'm doing commentary over the race, so I know what happens, so I do actually bog down a bit. So as we get ready, the nerves are tingling at this point. And away we go. Now I struggle to get the power down, and a few people overtake me. So at this point, this is where I'm in helicorsa mode, meaning all I'm doing is focusing on what's happening around me track-wise and trying to position myself as best as possible given the traffic around me. So here are a couple of the speedsters. Whoa, so I nearly ran that car in front, and a few have spun in the back there. And now we're still in that helicorsa mode because I'm too close. I need to understand my positioning, and if there's a chance to overtake like this, make sure to be aware of him, give him room if I can, but if I see the opportunity, close it up if I can. So now it's just trying to settle into the rhythm. And what a fantastic race this was. Geez, I didn't think last week could get beaten, but thanks to Steen, the actual winner of this race, and he apparently picked this track, Grobnik, and it's a fantastic combination of car and track. Now again, I'm just trying to focus myself, but also give room, trying to be as quick as I can, but not cut the car off. And so this is what I mean, I've got a car behind, a car in front, and I'm still in helicorsa mode. Trying to be smooth, but also trying to be conscious of where the other cars are. Oh, and someone's off, two are off. So does that give me a chance now? Oh boy. And the thing about helicorsa mode, or I guess what you would call racecraft, is all your gearing goes out the window, because sometimes you're forced to change down just to avoid cars, or you come into the corner on the wrong angle than you normally would. And so all your gearing tends to go out the window, and you have to be very adaptable. So what I want to try and get across in this tutorial is, if you look at the orange car in front, he's reaching the point where if I actually was in the race and had helicorsa on, now admittedly in helicorsa car in front doesn't show up anyway, but my point is that it's starting to get out of the brain zone, if you like, where it's not as crucial. See, here it becomes crucial as he gets closer. But as they tend to pull away, I have to accept my position in the race. So what happens now, as we cross the start-finish line, I become conscious of, forget the car in front. Don't chase the car in front. In fact, almost in a sense, don't even look at the car in front. And now what happens is I get into hot lap mode. So all I'm doing is ignoring the white car now, for example, and just picking all the braking points. So as I come up to here, change up and then change back down to try and be smooth. Don't worry about the white car, just be smooth. Get all the power out of the corner, like my brother and I did the day before, just understanding here. So I would change up usually here and then change back down for that smooth exit out of the corner. Oh, and I've nearly gone off. And I was conscious of where he was going to end up too, which distracted me a little bit. But see, if I look at the car in front and I look at the car behind, I acknowledge where they are. But when I can see that they're not in what you would call helicorsa range, I now don't even focus on them other than to know where they are, of course. But now it's all about just purely hot lapping, purely taking all my lines, occasionally glancing and seeing if he's catching up. And what happens now is, because I'm taking my hot laps lines and treating it like purely like 6 laps or 3 laps remaining now as purely hot laps, I can often increase my position just by doing that. So take it in, now someone else has gone off, and this is kind of what I mean. Without being smart, it's about trying to do clean hot laps, and you're not racing so you don't overextend. You're kind of just smooth and be within yourself, you know all your braking points, and all you want to do is stay in the race, which is what I did. So that I think I dropped to the lowest point, I was 9th, and now all I'm doing is hoping that I can be smooth and that it's the others that stuff up. I mean, it's all well and good to talk, and it doesn't always work, but that's what I'm hoping to do. Okay, so I think that's Rig Racer in front of me now. I'm not 100% sure. Actually, I think that's Rig Racer behind me, so I'm not sure. I put this live timing on, but I don't think it actually works in a replay. But I'll show you how everyone comes across in the start-finish line. Okay folks, so now basically I've set myself into a pattern. I'm just trying to do each lap because of the petrol, so as the petrol drops, I just try and do a faster lap, but not probably like 98%. So I try and have something in reserve, because what I believe is, I understand that I'm not an alien driver. I won't catch the drivers in front. My goal is purely now to be smooth, drive at 98%, and hope that they're pushing so hard to catch or fight amongst the leaders that they might make a little slip up and give me an opportunity to catch up. But pretty much as we settle into the positions, all I can do is look at those beautiful mountains there, the snow-covered peaks, and say, okay, I think I'm going to have to settle for 5th spot. But given that I was 9th, I'll take that any day, and I qualified in 6th spot, so technically I made up one position with, I think that's Rig Racer behind me there. Although I'm not sure, we'll see on the, I'll make sure I show the replay of how people finished. Rig Racer, actually I'm pretty sure that is Rig Racer in front of me. Actually, it definitely is, I remember, because he beat me in the qualifying, and I'm almost certain he beat me in the race as well. So as we go for this last lap, I'm just trying to put across my point of view from more a good driver, but not an alien driver, about how my approach is improving by, or in a way, almost accepting my position, but trying my hardest still to improve, but saying if I can improve, if the alien drivers like Alex there at the extra mile are in front of me and I know I'm not going to catch them, is to take the helicourses thing away once I'm clear and say I'm going to replace it with just driving smooth, driving my hot laps, and that's why I swear that the best thing you can do is practice against the ghost car, and just try and drive at 98% where you have a little bit in reserve, so if you do go off, it's not a severe off like I recovered before. And as we cross the line, we get 5th place, so I've gone up one position from my qualifying, and I'll take that any day of the week. And yes, another fantastic Sunday Sub Showdown as we all go crazy at the end. Let's do a few burnouts and say goodbye to this incredible Sunday Sub Showdown. So come visit Alex over at the Extra Mile if you feel like having a go at this. And this is Michael signing out for Single Racer. I'll catch you next time. See you later as we go crazy.